Hey, how you doing? I hope you're doing good. I'm doing pretty good myself, thanks for asking. So this is the first video on this channel that we've ever done, and I figured I'd just start us off with a banger, because today we're going to be talking about every single game ever played by all 10 of the quarterbacks taken in the 2017 NFL Draft, to determine who is truly the best quarterback from this class. Now this episode is part 1 of our deep dive into this draft class, and we will be reviewing the rookie seasons of each of these quarterbacks. Before we continue, we're going to need some sort of way to rank these quarterbacks week by week against each other. So very briefly, I'm going to explain how we're going to look at these quarterbacks and how we're going to assess them. If these next few sentences leave you with more questions than answers, just skip forward about 20 seconds and let me know in the comments if you want a better explanation or have other ideas on how to improve this series. Finally, if you like this type of content, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing. Essentially, we're going to be looking week by week at each player's stats, such as basic stats like completions, touchdowns, interceptions, as well as analytical things like QBR and other efficiency metrics. The team winning or losing will also be factored in, but more for tie-breaking purposes. For example, if quarterback X passes for 20 for 30 and 200 yards, but his team loses, he may be outranked by quarterback Y, who may have thrown for similar stats, but the team actually won the game. Now, the exception to this will actually be head-to-head matchups between the quarterbacks in this class. And finally, we will also be keeping track of playoff success, and the points awarded in the playoffs will be heavily weighted compared to, say, the regular season games. Alrighty, enough hoopla, let's get to the good stuff. Now here are the 10 quarterbacks we're going to be ranking. Now some names are very familiar, I'm sure. We have regular season MVPs, AP Player of the Years, and even a Nickelodeon Most Valuable Player winner in this class. Now get used to this screen because we're going to be updating it quite a bit throughout this video. It's September 10th, 2017, week 1 of the new NFL season to kick off a new season following the Atlanta Falcons gaining a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl. Then nothing of note happened after that. Anyways, our first quarterback to start a game from this draft class is, of course, the man you've all been thinking of, the incredible, the miraculous, DeShone Kizer. Yeah, that's right. Kizer was one of the first 2 quarterbacks to start week 1 of their rookie season from this class. Now, Kizer, a standout at Notre Dame, will be leading the Cleveland Browns at home to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game. Kizer would go on to score 2 touchdowns in this game, one on the ground late in the first quarter, and the second coming in garbage time with 3:36 left in the game, down 21-10. Now, the Browns stayed close in this game, but would not touch the ball again, and the Browns would fall to the Steelers 21-18, pushing Hugh Jackson's record with the Browns at a resounding 1-16. But don't worry, I'm sure DeShone and this Browns team will definitely turn it around at some point this season.
We put out this front that where we are, we're not going 1-15 next year. Okay, you can write it if you like. Hugh Jackson said it, we're not.
So the other rookie to start on opening week of 2017 was the ultimate women respecter himself, Deshaun Watson. Now Watson, a college football hero from Clemson, was set to face a defensive juggernaut in Jacksonville to kick off his NFL career. Watson struggled pretty mightily in this game as the Texans remained scoreless throughout the first half. Early in the third quarter, Watson threw to DeAndre Hopkins for a 4-yard score to reduce the Jacksonville lead to 12. Unfortunately for Texans fans, that would be all the scoring they would get in this game, and the Texans would fall to the Jaguars 29-7. Now after week 1, I'd say the best quarterback to play this week has to be DeShone Kizer. Both teams did lose their games, however the production from Kizer was certainly more efficient than Deshaun Watson's. So give me Kizer over Watson for now, and let's go ahead and take a look at some of the weeks of this season following. Week 2, and we officially have a winner. That's right, Deshaun Watson would take a 13-9 win over the Cincinnati Bengals. His stats weren't exactly phenomenal, but Watson's 1 touchdown, a 49-yard rushing touchdown, would be the only touchdown scored in this game, and would demonstrate a glimpse at the ceiling for the former Clemson quarterback. Kizer, however, was not quite as successful. After struggling early, the Browns would find the end zone on a 23-yard pass to David Njoku, and wait a minute, who is that in quarterback? Oh, I see. Okay. It looks like it's Kevin Hogan in for the Browns on this play. Now, gosh darn it, Kevin Hogan, if you ruin my game recap again, I swear to God, I will literally obliterate. Anyways, Kaiser would return in the game, but the Browns would fall to the Ravens 24-10. On to week 3, and we actually have some competitive football to talk about. Now, Watson and the Texans would be taking on the Super Bowl champion Patriots, and this would wind up being Watson's coming out party. Brady and the Pats would score on their opening drive, but this didn't deter the Texans, scoring 10 straight to take the lead heading into the second quarter. After some back and forth action, including a 22-yard scoop and score by Jadeveon Clowney, the Texans would trail the Pats by 1 heading into the second half. After an early second half touchdown from the Pats, the Texans would find the end zone again on a 12-yard pass to tight end Ryan Griffin. Bill O'Brien elected to kick the extra point rather than going for 2 to tie. Was that a good decision? I don't know. What do you think? But the Texans would continue successful drives into the fourth quarter, but they just couldn't find the end zone, kicking 2 field goals and taking a 33-28 lead with 2:24 to go. And wait a minute. 2:24 left for Tom Brady? Oh yeah, y'all ain't winning this game. Sure enough, Brady would march down the field and score a touchdown with 23 seconds on the clock, making the 2-point conversion and winning the game 36-33. Now Watson, despite throwing 2 picks, would throw 300 yards and 2 TDs in this game. Let's take a peek at the other Deshaun and see how he's doing. Deshaun Kaiser and the Cleveland Browns would face the Jacoby Brissett-led Colts in Week 3. Kaiser started strong, throwing a touchdown in the first half, but the Colts were quite successful in their own right, scoring 21 points in the second quarter, leaving the Browns in a 28-14 deficit at halftime. Now, the second half was when the wheels truly fell off for Kaiser, throwing not 1, not 2, but 3 interceptions in the second half. Miraculously, the Browns had the ball down 3 with 20 seconds left, but the Browns had 3 plays and -4 yards on their final drive, leading to the third L in the column for the Browns. I'd say at this point it's Watson who overtakes Kaiser as the best quarterback in this class. That doesn't sound so surprising, but we have much more to talk about, so let's rapid fire Week 4. Now, Watson and the 1-2 Texans would hit the road to take on the division rival, the Tennessee Titans, in a game that could have big implications in the playoff race, so I'd expect a close, probably low-scoring game, and, 57-14! The Texans, in the year of our Lord, 2017, scored 57 points in a game? Yeah, sure enough. Watson was feeling himself in this one. That sentence is hilarious when you really think about it. Watson had an incredible first half, throwing for 2 touchdowns and scrambling for another. The Texans wound up having a 30-14 lead at halftime, but no one could expect the showing that the Texans had in the second. 27 unanswered points, including 2 more passing touchdowns by Watson to get to the 57-14 final. Yeah, Kaiser had a pretty bad game in Week 4. He went 16 of 34, 118 yards and a pick, and a 31-7 loss that really wasn't even that close. But hey, we have a new quarterback to introduce. The San Francisco 49ers were in a close fight with the Arizona Cardinals. And for one play, in comes rookie quarterback C.J. Beathard. On his first play from scrimmage, Beathard steps onto the field and, well, he did something.
Doesn't matter. You can't go to
ground with Beathard. And then shoving, Frosty Rucker shoves Carlos Hyde to the ground.
But hey, we got to put Beathard on the list now, so there's that, I guess. Speaking of adding to the list, let's get to another guy. After a 1-3 start, the Chicago Bears, under hot-seated John Fox, needed a boost in the offense. So to start Week 5 versus the Minnesota Vikings, out comes the rookie who the Bears traded a boatload of picks just to ensure they picked him up, Mitchell Trubisky. Now Trubisky looked okay in his first start. No offensive points in the first quarter for either team. However, safety by the Bears edge rusher Leonard Floyd and Vikings quarterback Sam Bradford? Now this really is a video about 2017, huh? Well, anyways, Bradford was injured early in this game. It's a shocker, I know. And was eventually replaced by Case Keenum. Now, Keenum would jumpstart the Vikings, scoring a field goal before half to give us the cursed 3-2 halftime lead for the Vikings. A touchdown for the Vikings early in the third made it a 10-2 game before a 38-yard touchdown pass gave the Bears a fighting chance heading into the fourth. Except that pass wasn't thrown by Trubisky. In fact, it was a touchdown pass by the punter, Pat O'Donnell, to Benny Cunningham that cut the deficit to 1. Vikings running back Jerick McKinnon would blast off for a 58-yard touchdown run, but Trubisky was unfazed, leading his first career touchdown drive, capped off by a 20-yard pass to Zach Miller. Trubisky would run for the 2-point conversion to tie the game, and he would actually get the ball back with 2:32 to go, But on the first play, Trubisky would throw this interception to Harrison Smith deep in his own territory. The Vikings would burn nearly all the clock and would kick the game-winning 26-yard field goal to defeat the Bears 20-17. Trubisky's stats weren't very good, but the team was in the game until the end, which would become a familiar trend to Bears fans in the years to come. A good showing for Trubisky all around, but there was another quarterback out there who wanted to make another statement in Week 5. Now, Deshaun Watson and the Texans, frankly, were outclassed in Week 5 versus a very dangerous Alex Smith-led Kansas City Chiefs team. And it looked like it in the first half. KC held a 16-0 lead thanks to 2 touchdown passes to Sharkhandrick West, but Watson would lead a drive at the end of the half that would end up in a 4-yard pass to DeAndre Hopkins to make it a 16-7 game at halftime. Watson would find his connection with Will Fuller in the third quarter, passing for 2 touchdowns to him, cutting the lead to 6 heading into the fourth. KC's offense was just too good for the Texans this day, however, as a touchdown to DeAnthony Thomas and an 82-yard punt return by Tyreek Hill would effectively ice the game at 39-20. But Watson wasn't done. He threw for 2 more touchdowns in garbage time to pad his stats in the 42-34 loss. Now, despite the loss, Watson ended this game with 5 passing touchdowns to 0 interceptions. Impressive stuff to overshadow one of the 2 quarterbacks drafted ahead of him in Week 5. Let's quickly check in on DeShone Kizer and see how he's doing.
Motion one of them. The salve, the throw is intercepted. Kendrick with the Marcus May with the interception.
Yeah, that seems about right. Week 6, and we have a new quarterback to talk about. Yeah, that's right. It's Mr. What the hell happened on that one play that one time, Mr. CJ Beathard, who's filling in for the injured Brian Hoyer for the 0-5 49ers, who are on the road to play the Washington Redacteds. With 6:39 to go in the first half, down 14-0, Beathard trotted onto the field. On 1st and 10, new head coach Kyle Shanahan decides to surprise Washington with a pass play that Beathard would complete to Brent Selleck? No, that's his brother, Garrett Selleck. Hey, how do you wind up doing it in his career anyways? Not too bad. Now, I don't want to hate too much on CJ. After all, this game did come down to the wire. San Francisco actually would go and score 17 unanswered points to tie the game thanks to 2 one-yard touchdown runs by Carlos Hyde. Now, Kirk Cousins in Washington would go on to score 9 points in the fourth quarter. With 1:58 to go in the game, Beathard would complete his first career touchdown pass to Aldrick Robinson to cut the lead to 2. The Niners did get the ball back with 52 seconds, needing only a field goal to win. The drive started off with 3 completions to Pierre Garçon and Carlos Hyde to get the Niners all the way to the Washington 40-yard line. However, that's where the drive would unfortunately end. After 3 incompletions and a costly offensive pass interference on Pierre Garçon, the Niners had a 4th and 20 at midfield. Beathard would not be a hero in this game, as his final pass would fall into the hands of cornerback Kendall Fuller to end the game 26-24. The best rookie quarterback in Week 6, however, has to go to Deshaun Watson. The Texans would match up in their first head-to-head versus another rookie this week versus the Cleveland Browns. Well, at least this would have been the first head-to-head if DeShone Kizer wasn't benched for Kevin Hogan. Anyways, Hogan played like crap. He threw 3 picks in the game, and Watson threw 3 touchdowns, just 1 interception. And the Texans won 33-17 over the Cleveland Steam. I did it again! Trubisky and the Bears really needed a win in Week 6 versus the Ravens. Okay, here's a little foreshadowing. Trubisky threw 16 passes in this game. He completed 8 of them. He threw for just 113 yards. Now, just based on that, who do you think won this game? Well, if you guessed the Bears, you're right, somehow. Yeah, despite how handicapped Trubisky was in the game by his own offensive coordinators and team, Ravens quarterback Joe Flacco somehow looked a lot worse. And he threw 2 picks in this game. With the Bears up 17-13 with 5 to go in the game, the Ravens had the ball at the Chicago 10-yard line. But then, this happened.
Flacco fakes, rolls, looks downfield, and throws. It's intercepted. Davis, touchdown Bears.
Despite being down 11, the Ravens didn't go away. A Justin Tucker kick would make it a 1-score game, and after a Bears 3-and-out, Ravens returner Michael Campanaro did this.
High kick, and the return.
The 2-point conversion was completed by Flacco to tight end Nick Boyle to tie the game. After 2 drives in overtime, the Bears had the ball at their own 7-yard line, but a 53-yard run by Jordan Howard, do you remember him, by the way? Jordan Howard? And an 18-yard pass to Kendall Wright would set up a 40-yard game-winning field goal by Connor Barth to win the game for the Bears 27-24. Week 7 rolls around and we have 4 rookie quarterbacks playing this week, so let's go rapid fire. CJ Beathard would lead the 49ers into Levi's Stadium to get absolutely trounced 40-10 by the Dallas Cowboys. Beathard would rush for a touchdown in this game, but his stats really just scream, I'm not ready for this, but as long as I don't get cut and I don't do anything stupid, we're doing good. Hey, do you like high-octane gunslinging down-to-the-wire football? Me either. The Bears would take on the Carolina Panthers in a game where you'd think this was a middle school JV game if not for the 60,000 people at Soldier Field watching the game. The only player who did anything offensively in this game was Eddie Jackson, who is a safety for the Bears, might I add. Jackson would scoop and score a fumble by Cam Newton and take it 75 yards for the touchdown early in the second quarter. But that wasn't all he would do in this game, as the Panthers would march down the field to nearly the exact same spot on the field, but famous women's rights respecter Cam Newton would turn the ball over again, this time to Eddie Jackson for a 76-yard pick six. Yeah, a couple of field goals also happened. No one scored in the second half. Mitch Trubisky, I kid you not, threw 7 times in the entire game. He completed 4 passes for 107 yards and somehow ended up with a 102 passer rating. The Bears won 17-3. Thank God we have Deshaun Watson to talk about for the rest of the season because I don't think I can handle any more of this tomfoolery from the other quarterbacks. Watson and the Texans would take on the end of an era Seattle Seahawks in their Week 7 matchup. Watson had a very up and down game. The Texans started this game with a 58-yard touchdown pass to Will Fuller on their opening drive, but a 78-yard Earl Thomas pick six not 2 minutes later would even the game back at 7-all. After a pair of touchdowns, one from Lamar Miller on the ground and one through the air, to Seahawks wide receiver Paul Richardson, the game was tied at 14 heading into the second. The second quarter was very deja vu, with Fuller catching his second touchdown of the game, followed soon after by another Paul Richardson touchdown to give us a 21-21 tie at halftime. 3 field goals, 2 by Blair Walsh and 1 by Kaimi Fairbairn, would be all the scoring in the third quarter, with Deshaun Watson throwing his second interception to Richard Sherman. More on him in a minute. Lamar Miller would take the lead for the Texans on his second rushing touchdown of the game. Seattle would answer again with a touchdown drive, this time capped off by a touchdown pass to Jimmy Graham. Texans wouldn't be down for long, however, as Watson would find DeAndre Hopkins on a 72-yard touchdown pass to give the Texans a 38-34 lead with less than 5 to play. With just 21 seconds left in the game, Wilson would find Jimmy Graham in the end zone to take a 3-point lead. Needing only a field goal to tie, Watson would air it out to Will Fuller, only to be picked off by Richard I Don't Like Crabs or Trees Sherman to ice the game. Little did we know that this would be the last pass of Deshaun Watson's rookie season, as later in the week Watson would tear his ACL in practice, ending his explosive roller coaster rookie season. Texans would wind up losing 8 of their final 9 games without Watson to end what was a very promising season for the Texans. Now let's see how Deshaun Kaiser's doing.
4 times today overall, and here is Kaiser. Kaiser trying to escape trouble down at the 15-yard line.
Well, no more Watson this year. Who else can we talk about? Let's see. CJ Beathard scored a touchdown in Week 8 in a 33-10 loss to the Eagles. Hey, Mitch Trubisky's playing Drew Brees. That should be good. Hey, Trubisky even has the ball in Saints territory, down just 1 score and a minute to go. Well, that should be good.
Trubisky intercepted. Marshawn Lattimore.
Well, shoot. Well, how's Deshaun Kaiser doing?
First and goal after the penalty from the 5. Kaiser, little fade pass, back of the end zone, Slay, and it's intercepted.
So Week 9 was a bit of a wash, so we're going to head into Week 10. Wait. Oh my, is it time? Is it time to finally talk about... It is. Ladies and gentlemen.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
Nathan Peterman. Now the 5-3 Bills, led by Tyrod Taylor, were in a bit of a rut. They were down 40-3 to the New Orleans Saints, and coach Sean McDermott was in a desperate situation. So late in the fourth quarter, McDermott decides to bench Tyrod Taylor in favor of a 5th-round pick out of Pitt, Nathan Peterman. Now Peterman's first drive resulted in a 4-and-out, giving the Saints a ball back for a quick 3-play touchdown drive to make it a 47-3 ball game. But then, it happened. Peterman starts out on the 25-yard line. A 6-yard completion with a 15-yard unnecessary roughness penalty tacked on. Then not one, but two. That's right, 2 completions to Kelvin Benjamin. After one incompletion, Peterman hits another completion to Jordan Matthews. Now this has become a true masterclass of a drive, but the Bills must execute. They line up at the 7-yard line. Peterman drops back. He has to roll right, and he fires into the end zone for a catch to tight end Nick O'Leary for the touchdown. That's right, baby. Now, the Saints would kneel out the game in a 47-10 victory, but the decision to bench Tyrod Taylor would continue into Week 10 versus the Chargers. It was official. Nathan Peterman would be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
If you had to compare him to any other GOAT in any other sport, it had to be like Michael Jordan or something.
Coach McDermott said on the decision, "Now this is about becoming a better team." But oh boy, what happens next would stand the test of time. Nathan Peterman would step onto the field versus the Chargers, hoping to channel the talents of fellow Pitt alumni Dan Marino. There hadn't actually been a starting quarterback in the NFL from the University of Pittsburgh since Alex Van Pelt, who by the way beat Dan Marino in his first NFL start. But anyways. So Peterman was poised to become the next great Pittsburgh Panther quarterback in the NFL. And here he was, ready to live up to the hopeful expectations of Bills fans, clinging onto the thin hopes of making the playoffs for the first time since Doug Flutie was their quarterback. Peterman's first drive looked promising. A pair of first downs got the Bills into the Chargers' territory. On 2nd and 6, Peterman would roll right and find fullback Patrick DeMarco wide open. A first down for sure. He fired, and then
Peterman rolling and throwing. Off the hands of DeMarco and intercepted. Patrick DeMarco couldn't hold it. Corey Toomer has it. And down the sideline, he tight ropes. Corey Toomer come after the rookie, and they do. He floats one, and that's intercepted across the 25-yard line. Pressure coming, Peterman hit, and that is his 3rd interception of the day. Trey Boston. Is that almost? Did he pick that off? Casey Hayward may have another interception. That gain good for 19 yards. And that's the 5th interception today thrown by Peterman.
Peterman would be benched to start the second half after an abysmal 6 of 14, 66 yards, and 5 interceptions for a passer rating of 18. The Bills would go on to lose this game 54-24. Let's pick up the mood a little bit, shall we? CJ Beathard was slated to start against the 1-7 New York Giants. Yes, this was the Ben McAdoo and Eli Manning-led Giants. It's pretty bad in MetLife, but not let's bench Eli for a washed-up Geno Smith bad. Now, the first quarter was riddled with missed opportunities and plenty of field goals. The Giants led 6-3 heading into the second, but that wouldn't last very long, as Beathard would find Marquise Goodwin for an 83-yard strike to take a 10-6 lead. Manning and the Giants would find the end zone themselves on a red zone strike to Evan Ingram to retake the lead, but Beathard was unfazed. In a 2-minute drill, Beathard would find Garrett Selleck for a 47-yard touchdown to take a 17-13 lead into halftime. No scoring in the third quarter, but early in the fourth, Beathard would do his best to imitate Steve Young on an 11-yard touchdown scramble. Manning and the Giants would score a meaningless touchdown at the end of the game, but Beathard and the 49ers would seize the day and their first win of the season. Let's go, baby! CJ Beathard for the win. It's the fourth quarter in a game versus the Lions, in which the Bears need a win to save not only their playoff hopes, but also to save their coach's job. Matt Prater converts a field goal to give the Lions a 24-17 lead with 10 minutes to play. Trubisky would capitalize with a drive aided by the ground and pound of Tarek Cohen and Jordan Howard. It would end in a 15-yard Tarek Cohen touchdown run to tie the game. Under 2 to play now. Stafford would get the Lions in the field goal range where Prater would again convert a field goal, this one from 52 yards out. 100 seconds is all Trubisky has to save the Bears' season. The drive started slow, with Trubisky going 3 of 7 through the air, but then Mitch did what Mitch does. He scrambles for a 19-yard gain, followed by a 15-yard pass to Dontrell Inman to set up a Connor Barth 46-yard field goal. To this point, Bears kickers have been reliable in these moments, more or less, but on a more than makeable kick, Barth, well, he did this.
Snap, hold, not even close.
Wow.
Holy Moses.
Wow.
Well, I'm sure this won't become a trend for Bears kickers in the future. Hey, I wonder how Deshaun okay, has the joke worn its welcome? Nah.
Their own 45-yard line. Play action. Kaiser over the middle. Intercepted. Picked off by Telvin Smith. Down the sideline at the 40. He cuts back there. He's trying to reverse field. And Smith is tackled at the 33.
Beathard would be replaced by a guy who the Niners traded for on Halloween of the 2017 season. A man with the looks of a GQ model and an arm that's, well, it's okay. Yes, Jimmy Garoppolo would take over as the starter for the 49ers after their bye week, and they surprisingly went on a 5-game winning streak to end their season at 6-10. Trubisky's rookie season was much of the same that we've already seen from him. He had some nice moments, including an impressive 33-7 win versus the Bengals, where Trubisky went 25 of 32 and a touchdown on the ground, as well as one in the air. But the Bears just couldn't put it all together this year, finishing 5-11 and firing John Fox at the end of the season. The Bills threw in Peterman a couple more times, including a 13-7 win where he was responsible for the sole touchdown that the Bills scored versus the Colts. Peterman wouldn't play again in his rookie season after the Colts game, but his team did do something that they have not done in 17 years. And finally, we have Deshaun Kaiser. Kaiser's rookie season was not too kind to our Week 1 hero. The Browns had not won a single game this season, and in the last week of the season, he had the chance to play the hero and prevent his team from becoming just the second team in the Super Bowl era to lose every God-given game they played in a single season. It's 28-24, just under 2 minutes to play. It's 4th and 2 at the Pittsburgh 27. And this is Kaiser's chance to shine on the biggest stage. He drops back, and the pressure is immediately in his face. He avoids the onslaught of TJ Watt, he rolls left and fires to Corey Coleman. And well, the rest is history.